of this year's symposium. You already know your moderator for this session from earlier today, so please join me in welcoming journalist and news anchor at TV2 News, Vibeke Dahl Bjerrum.
Thank you very much. So you already know Slido, and if any of you were at the Vestager session, you'll know that I love Slido, and I'm going to pick questions after what you guys ask and what you vote for, so that means that the floor is actually yours when we get to the Q&A, so please use it and use this opportunity. With that, I'd actually like to take you back in time to when I went to school, which is beginning to be a while ago. When I went to school, we had a mandatory class called Ancient Greek Art. You had to have it. And one of the things we learned about was that the wine god was Dionysos. And why am I telling you this? Well, obviously to tell you that wine and the love of wine has been around for like forever. I mean, we even gave wine its own god. Just think about it. And then think about that even though we've loved wine for that long and we've known wine for that long, our next speaker has actually managed to create an entire new market for wine. I mean, that's quite a feat. And in the beginning, it was a place where you could make reviews of wine and you could mingle with other winos. And then it turned into a marketplace, and the marketplace turned into a business, and even a business that's doing really well, even though it's still a quite young company. So I think they're doing very well, and for all us winos, I have to say I just love the concept. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Theis Søndergaard of Vivino.
Thank you. Thanks, and thank you for the kind words. It's good to be back. I also went to school back in the days, and actually I went to school here in Aarhus, a bit further to the north, at the Circus School of Journalism that they have. I call it Circus School because I think I read 3 books during the 4 years I was there. I learned a lot, but I didn't really. When I graduated from that in 2002, I immediately started a company with a friend. And so I never really used my education for anything. I don't know if you want to think a bit about that for your own situation. But I would like to tell you a bit about the story of Vivino, how it came to be what it is today, and I'd also like to talk a bit about entrepreneurship and the opportunities that technology and other changes are making, and how you might take advantage of that too, and what I've learned. So the story of Vivino is that it was a website. We started as a website in 2010. And the idea was to, if you guys know IMDb, so you Google any actor or any TV show or any movie, and the first result you'll see is from IMDb. It's this big database where you can look up any fact about anything going on in TV or movies, and you can also see what other people think about it. You don't just read the movie critics, you read what other people are thinking about these movies. And what we were thinking was, hey, wouldn't that be awesome for wine, because we didn't know shit about wine. And we're super confused about that. So we thought, wouldn't it be awesome if you could go somewhere and see what other people thought? Also because we were thinking, yes, there are these critics, but they don't drink the wines that's in Netto, where I was buying my wine. But we were thinking there are tons of people drinking this wine. So if they could tell us what they think, we might have some help. So that was the genesis. That was the idea, and we built a website. We built like a skeleton of a database. We got a small team. We didn't have a lot of money, so we got a small team in India. We gave them a list of 1,000 wineries, and we asked them to go to their websites and punch in the name of their wines and the basic data into our database. And pretty soon we had like a website where you could search for a wine and you could kind of see it. You could just see the name. That was it, but it was there. And then we launched this website, and then nothing happened. Not at all, nothing at all. Nobody came. It was an awful website. It looked like shit, and there was not really any reason to do it. And the main problem was that our idea was you would go there and you would rate a wine, and then other people could go there and see what you rated. Obviously, that does not work because you're at a party or whatever. You're having wine. What are you supposed to do? Like, take a piece of paper, write down the name of the wine. Go home drunk, wake up the next day, maybe find a piece of paper, maybe remember what the name of that website was, go type in that name that you can't read and it's weird words and it's French and you misspelled it or whatever. And then you find the wine and then you give it a rating. Nobody did that, right? Then smartphones started to be pretty good at that point. Cameras especially started to be really good. And so the really good idea we had at that point was, hey, if we put it on the phone, we could skip all those things. We could just take a photo of the wine, and we would somehow magically recognize it and bring it to you, and you could rate it right there. So we built that app, and we built it for iPhone and Android and BlackBerry and Palm was back then. Weird systems that we built it for, and we launched it, and then nothing happened. Nothing happened because it was a shitty product. We had our average rating in the App Store was, I think, 1.2. And it was a shitty product because it didn't work. The idea was that you take a photo and then we recognize that. The way that technology works is that it needs a big bucket of photos. We did not have a big bucket of photos because nobody took those photos. So we had a lot of groundwork ahead of us. And basically what we did was, we did two things. One, we did a lot ourselves. We literally went into a lot of wine shops, a lot of supermarkets. We got access to like the storage room of wine merchants and went in there and took photos. I think I've taken maybe like, those months I took like 10,000 photos of wines. We also made a competition for our users and kind of say, hey, be the one that takes the most photos and you'll win. I don't like a cork. We had this corkscrew that you could win, like a luxury corkscrew. That worked somewhat. I think we got a total of 50 or 60,000 photos, and the app kind of started working. I think we would recognize the wine in like 1 out of 5 cases, and most of those times we got the wrong wine. But still, the reviews were still super negative. But they were negative in the way, basically people said, what a great idea, too bad it doesn't work. And when you're like an optimist like me, you read that and you say, awesome, now we just need to make it work. We actually found something that people maybe want to use if only we could make it work. And the thing was, we knew exactly why it didn't work. It wasn't like a mystery to us. It's like, we need photos. And to get photos, we need users. And to get users, we need to have a great app. And oh, that was why we needed the photos. Shit. But what suddenly occurred to us, and honestly, we did not think about that from the beginning. But what we found was that actually our app was really good at one thing, which was we would actually take the photo and we would save it for you. So you could use it as like a journaling app. It didn't actually need to recognize the wine and tell you all kinds of things. You had tons of people out there who were interested in wine and just needed a very easy-to-use note-taking system. Where it was fine that they could just take a photo of the wine and then write what they wanted to write. And we actually, so we kind of discovered that, oh, there were tons of users out there that actually wanted that. And they were happy with the product as it was. And because of that, we just started building things for those people. And they would use the app and we would get more and more photos. And after a few years, I think 10 and then 12, 13 maybe, we got to a point where, okay, now it would recognize 60%, suddenly 70%, suddenly 80%, suddenly 95%. And actually, in a lot of cases, we got even the right wine. And then, continue to improve. And then suddenly you're in this place where you actually arrived at that product that we wanted to build in the first place. Because now you could actually take a photo of a wine. We would tell you what it was. And we also started to have enough data from these people who used it as a note-taking app to actually tell you what they thought about that wine. So whether it's a good or bad wine. And that really worked. I should use maybe some slides. I don't know. I like this guy. this is. Yeah, take it in. Take it in. I like this guy because he's very much one of our users, and he's to a larger and larger degree. Like I said, I don't know shit about wine, and I just need help. And that was why we built this product. And one of our perspectives on this was that we wanted to simplify things. A lot of when we started it, so for example, we launched this 5-star scale. You can take a photo of a wine with Vivino and you can rate it 1 to 5 stars. And whenever we talked to someone within the wine industry, they would be like appalled. They would be like, you cannot do that. They were already French. You cannot do that. It's a complicated product. Whatever. Like they wanted like a 100-point scale, and they wanted to write 500 words, and it had to, whatever, fruity nose and taste of Red Bull, whatever. And we were like, no, actually, I'm perfectly comfortable just saying, I like it, it's 4 stars. I really like it, it's 5 stars. I don't like it, it's 2. Like, that's the level I need to navigate this. And I need it to be simplified to that level. And clearly this guy does too. So I really like it. The thing is, it's you look at Vivino from the surface, and you see a relatively simple app that you have on your phone. The truth is that this long journey. You are now in 2017, soon 2018, and we're just building a lot of stuff. And one of the things that we had to kind of figure out was how the hell we would make money out of this. That kind of becomes a question, both from yourself and your mother and other people. I don't know if you know this guy. This is South Park. It's the sock gnomes. They steal socks, basically. That's why you always miss socks when you've done laundry. It's his guys, well, and underpants, sorry. So they collect the underpants. And then they're kind of working on how the hell are we making money out of this. And we were kind of in the same situation. We were collecting all this data about wine, all these ratings and reviews, and we were creating all these eyeballs and users, and that's awesome. But how do you actually make money? We knew from the very beginning kind of what we wanted to do. We knew that, and also what we didn't want to do. We didn't want to be like an advertising platform. We didn't just want to have an app and then we'd have banners all over the place. We wanted to build a marketplace. We wanted to make it easy for you as a consumer to buy wine online. And we had a ton of online wine dealers who didn't really know how to deal with mobile. We're kind of riding on the back of this whole mobile revolution. That was the luck of the timing of Vivino. And they were kind of struggling because they were like, I can tell you, wine, even online wine merchants are not very technical people. They are in the wine business because they like wine, not because they like code. And they were like, fuck, man, I already built a website. Now I had to like mobile optimize it, and now I have to build an app. And they were like, no, don't want to do it. So they were actually really attracted to the idea that, oh, maybe here's a platform that kind of takes care of all that technical thing and has that audience, and I can sell through that platform. And that was how we wanted to make money, and that's also how we're making money today. As you say, we've kind of, on top of this community, we've now built this marketplace. So on the one hand, you have tons of users. We have 26 million people that have installed the app. And on the other hand, we have online wine merchants. Today we have around 400 in the 10 markets we're active. I think in Denmark we're at 15 or something online wine merchants on the platform. In the US, which is our biggest market, it's just below 200. So in the US, actually today, Vivino is the largest online wine marketplace. It's the one with the largest selection. You can go into Vivino and you can immediately buy any of more than 150,000 different wines. That's more than any online wine shop you can find anywhere. And you buy it at the same price as the online merchants are selling themselves. They're just using us as a platform. You buy the wine, we take the money, we keep 10, 15%, and we pass it on to the wine merchant, the rest of it. That's the model we wanted to build, and that's what we've built. And it's taken so long. It's like, when I look back, like I made, so we make business plans, right? You have to make business plans. And business plans are always like 3 years. It's like, yes, and then in 3 years we'll be making money. And I can tell you, it's always 3 years. It's also 3 years now. Like in 3 years we'll be making money. You just always underestimate how long this takes. And I think that was it's kind of this, right? This whole, on the surface, there's this nice app, and it seems simple and so on. It also seems it sounds simple to connect your users of the app with the online wine merchants. There's so much stuff we have to build. Vivino today employs more than 100 people. We have an office in Copenhagen, we have one in San Francisco, we have one in India, and we have one in Lviv, and we have country managers all over Europe. It's a big setup. And it's taken a lot of money to get here. Yeah, we are selling wine and so on, but we are still today dependent on investments. So far, Vivino has taken in $37 million in investment money, and we are still spending more money than we are making. So it just takes a long time to do this. There's one thing I'd like to talk, especially to you about, which is I usually say, like, the grown-ups don't exist, and this took me a long time to realize. What I mean by that is that nobody really knows. I thought people knew. I thought like people older and more experienced than me would be really qualified at doing things a lot better than myself. There are a couple of realizations there. One is the realization of the power of what you yourself can do, and how little people actually know. I think Vivino is an awesome example of that. We launched, when we launched, there were 500 other wine apps in the world. And we weren't even the first ones with that image recognition thing. There were 5, 6 others that did that. But most of them came from the wine industry, or from people really well connected with the wine industry. They knew a lot more about wine than I did. Like I said, I didn't, and I still don't know a lot about wine. And that turned out to be their weakness, because they were locked into a mindset about how you're supposed to do things, with wine and in this wine industry, how this is supposed to work. And they dismissed us so easily. And we were kind of stupid. And sometimes you're stupid and you're lucky, sometimes you're stupid and unlucky. The point is that they didn't actually know better than we did. It turned out that we were right. Today we're by far the largest wine marketplace. Like I said, we have, just give you an example. We have, every month we have 4.5 million active users on the app. Our nearest competitor has 100,000. So it's like, it's not a competition anymore. So they didn't know. They weren't smarter. Despite of their experience, and I think this is very much a mentality you have to have, not only if you want to be an entrepreneur and build your own thing, but also when you join bigger corporations. I'm reading, I don't know if you guys read this book called The Black Swan. And basically it's about the outsized impact that something maybe random or something at least unexpected and unpredictable, how that one event can have a massive impact. Were you here with the Echo guy talking? Yeah. So he mentioned this thing about the golf shoes, right? Did you notice that story? They were making golf shoes and they weren't very successful at it. Suddenly, a very famous golfer decided by himself to wear those shoes and walk onto a PGA tournament. Nobody in Echo had planned that. Nobody knew it was going to happen. Nobody in the competition knew it was going to happen. And suddenly, they were a player in the golf industry. There are these, you can call them random events. You know, it's not random. This guy decided this is a good shoe and he wanted to use it and so on, but it was not planned and it was not expected. And you have these things that just suddenly create opportunity, and you have all these smart people and all these experienced people, and they don't know any better than you. They don't. So remember that when you move into this, and like I said, it's especially for entrepreneurship, I think, that you kind of have to go into it with kind of a dumb attitude and kind of say, well, maybe it works. But it's also in any other job. This guy. Final thing. I said in the beginning that I studied journalism, and I said, not using it for anything. That's not true. What I learned, some of the things I learned there, was about telling stories and about engaging people in what you're doing. And I think we're very, very bad at that in Denmark. We don't get a lot of practice. In the US, they have show and tell. And every kid in the US gets up there and they talk about something. This guy talks about rain, probably. How much can you say about rain? Probably a lot. And he's learning to stand in front of an audience and tell a story. And when I'm in the US and I'm with our US colleagues, this is so apparent. They are so much better at getting up and getting you engaged. And it's not just selling. It's like it's getting you on board. And especially if you want to be something in entrepreneurship, there is so much of that happening every single day. You have to find a partner, and at that point you don't have anything. You have like a crazy idea, and you have to get this person involved. And it's not just a, hey, let's meet every second Thursday and talk about this. This is going to be like every day for the next, many, many years that you're going to do that. You got to get your first employees on board. You're going to get your investors on board. You're going to get your customers on board. All this thing comes down to the art of getting people engaged and telling these stories. And I think, and it goes, it goes for entrepreneurship, but it goes for so many other things. It goes if you, have a pet project you want to get through your big corporation. How do you do that? Well, you have to engage people. You have to tell the stories. And if there was, I often get these questions about, what should we change in Denmark to get more entrepreneurship and be more successful at that? If there was one thing I would do, I would make show and tell in public school mandatory. That's yeah, it's going to take a while for these young people to get out there. But that's the one thing I would do, because it's being so underestimated in Denmark. We think it is about brains, it is about hard work, it is about, all those things, being persistent and all these things. Yes, but you're not going to do it alone. There is not a single successful company in the world that is a one woman or man show. You have to get people on board, and it starts by being good at telling those stories. And I think we get not nearly enough practice in that. I had practically none when I was going through school, and it was like you had to really learn it. So that would be, if I was going to say one thing that I think is really shapes you if you want to have an impact in whatever job you will have, practice this. Anything you want. Just like if you want to go home and whatever you're going to cook for your roommates tonight, like get them excited about it. Tell them the story about that meal. Just start somewhere, and practice this, because I do think that whole storytelling is super important. It's also why I really like journalists in the entrepreneurship, because they have a tendency to be talented in that area. But anybody can do it, and it's a lot about practice. I have no idea how much time went by, but do you have any questions?
They actually have lots of questions for you.
Good.
Can you have to use the microphone because it's recorded. That's right. And I think we're going to jump right into where you let off, Theis, actually, in this one. Do you believe that entrepreneurship can be taught? And I think you sort of answered that, but I mean, entrepreneurship isn't all about introducing your ideas or what?
No. I mean, it's there's a lot of different things to it, and yes, I think it can be. Like, I grew up. My dad is an accountant, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we never talked about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship was not even on the radar for me. Even through journalism school, it was not on the radar. I think I would go out and I would be a reporter somewhere, and that was it. And then I finished that school, and I was in the unlucky generation of those people going to that school. I kind of finished in the same year as the new schools in Roskilde and Odense. Thank you. Also finished. So suddenly there were 3 times as many new journalists out there, and I was quite young, and I had been very focused in my studies, but I had done like a lot of different things. I'd done like children's television, and I'd done radio, and I'd done online, and like I did a lot of things, and they were a lot of fun. But I was 24, and I didn't have a focused profile, and I was like, shit, I'm never gonna get a job. So what I did was, like I said, I started a company, but the way I did it was I called up a guy I knew that I had a summer job for. It's a guy called Morten Lund, and you may know about him. He made a ton of money from Skype by being an early investor in Skype, and then he spent it all in journalism by making a newspaper. Very bad idea. He's gone bankrupt a few times. He's an amazing entrepreneur, and I have tons of respect for him. And I became his assistant. I made coffee, and I wrote business plans, and all kinds of other things. And I think we started 6 different companies at the same time. And then one of them turned out to be a good idea, and that turned out to be my first company. It was something completely different. It was internet security software, antivirus stuff. Anyway, he taught me tons of things, but it's so hard to put into a book and a classroom. It is. I believe strongly in learning by doing, and I think that's the main thing. Yeah.
So in a sense, it sounds like you also drew a lot on networking from Morten Lund and also from Heini, who you co-founded Vivino with. So in a way, social skills are maybe more important than what you learn here?
I think they are, but I super suck at networking. I'm like super bad at it. I'm always standing alone at a table. I'm not good at it, but I'm good at working with people. I'm super good at working with people, and that I learned a lot from.
Okay. So if you should just sum up on it, then what would be your best advice for someone who wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I don't know what's it called in English. Lærling, to be a lærling. Yes, I think we should do much more of that.
Okay.
Like, call up an entrepreneur and ask if you can be his lærling. Make some coffee. Spend some years. It's good.
Go and grab Theis afterwards and start there. Okay, so let's dive into Vivino. And since other wine apps are not a threat to you, who are your true competitors?
We have tons of competitors because we're doing this marketplace. So we may be like the largest place for consumers to meet and rate wines and look up wines and so on. But if you look at the size of us compared to other people selling wine online, we're not very big. And that's really like, we want people to go to us and buy wine, and they have, we know about 20,000 online wine web shops in the world. So they are really, that's the tricky thing here, right? They are both our partners, but also our competitors. That's the thing about being a marketplace. So you have some of those where I would say, anyone selling online wine is both a competitor and a potential partner for us. And that's kind of what we have to navigate. So there's tons of competition for us. We think we're very, very solid on the other part that we've already built with the community. We don't see a big threat there. But who knows? Like, people didn't expect the iPhone and what happened there. Even several years after, people still didn't really get it. And I'm pretty sure that someone is working right now on like my worst nightmare 3 years from now. I just have no idea what it is.
But since your competition isn't someone that you can relate to or identify yourself with, how do you stay ahead then? I mean, if it's so completely different from what you're doing.
Well, not making money is a really big motivator for staying focused and hardworking. Because you can kind of see the end of it. It's like, oh, then we're out of money. So that's really like, there's a lot of motivation internally. And also, I don't believe a lot in looking at competition. If I had looked at our competition apps when we started, we would have done it wrong. I very much believe in you need to have your own idea of what you want to build, and actually also don't listen too much to customers. Customers suck. They don't know anything. Build what you want, and then see where it sticks. I think it was the Kunde guy as well who said it kind of, hey, take your existing audience seriously, figure out who's actually paying or would like to pay you money with what you have, and understand your strength. I think that's a very good point.
The critics, all the mad customers, you just delete.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Okay. Actually, I wanted to take this question. Everything you started up went wrong at first. So what made you continue? Did you make money at all? And you say you're not making money. I mean, how does that work? I mean, how do you pay your rent and your food and everything?
Please tell me. No, I mean this is why it's this is a VC business, venture capital business, and we knew that from the beginning. We knew that this is not going to work if we're going to go out and say, oh, we have 12 months to start making money. We knew that was never going to be the timeline. So from the very beginning, we were aware that we needed money from investors, and we had to give up ownership to those investors to make this work. And then, so that's how you pay rent. It is that, oh, thank you for the money. Let me take a bit for a salary for myself. Oh. Who do you negotiate that with? That's an interesting question. So that's how I pay my rent. So yeah, we need investment money, and like I said, we still need investment money. Yeah.
But don't you risk then, if you keep on doing the venture capitalist way, then you have to give them shares of the company. Then you end up one day when it's a profit business. I mean, there's only 2% left for Theis.
Yeah, but that's fine. If it's $1 billion company, I'm fine with that. Right? Wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
No, but this is like a separate. Some people in entrepreneurship will really be like, no, I want to be in control, and I don't necessarily want to be in control. I want to build something that's fun and amazing and engaging, and I'm like I said, I'm fine with working with other people, and they don't know shit. They're not grown-ups, but they have inspiration and good ideas, and it's nice to work with them.
But then that leads fine into the next question. Have some of the big market platforms offered to buy Vivino, and have you ever considered selling it?
Yes and yes, but the price wasn't right. But I mean, the investors are in the business because they want to sell again at some point. And there are two things that can happen. Either the company gets bought by someone big, and then Margrethe Vestager will look at it. Or you go to the stock market, right? You do an IPO. And one of those two things is definitely going to happen, because otherwise my investors, or we go bankrupt. That is also an option. Let's not talk about that. So one of the first two options is definitely going to happen. And then that's interesting, right? What's going to happen to me, because I'm not a majority shareholder. So what's going to happen to me and so on. So yeah, you lose control. But hey, when you're an entrepreneur and you do these things, you live in like a constant high-risk environment. And this is not really a concern for me, what might happen in a few years. And by the way, if that happens in a few years, I'll make a lot of money, and who really cares? So, I'll go do something different. So you have to have a profile where you're okay with not being, you're not in control of your destiny anyway. Even if you take a job at Danske Bank, you get fired someday, right? Nobody controls anything anyway, so.
And what big market platforms might be interested in Vivino?
Well, obviously Amazon has always been looking at us and is interested in this. They've been trying to do wine many times. 2 weeks ago, they had to withdraw from wine because they bought Whole Foods in the US. which gives them legal trouble in the US with selling wine on their online platform with their model. So for legal reasons, they shut down their own wine operations. So they had a choice between continuing to sell wine on Amazon.com or sell wine in Whole Foods shops. So they chose the latter. So they've been trying wine 3 times and they can't really figure it out. And who knows? One day Jeff Bezos will wake up and say, "Hey, let's try it a 4th time," and maybe he'll be looking at Vivino. That's one option. But there's the wine industry is a $300 billion market, and you have also huge wine brand conglomerates who's looking at the wine industry and saying, okay, this is obviously changing, it's moving online. And what are we doing about it? We're not really doing, we can't really figure it out. But who is doing, oh, there's Vivino. And so you have companies like that might also be interested. I think, we have a perfectly viable business model on our own. And I would love to do an IPO one day and continue to run the company independently.
Okay. Because I just couldn't help think, you said the price hasn't been right yet. I mean, there's also a limit for greed, if I should be a little bit mean to you.
No.
I mean, you have to... Aren't you afraid that, then suddenly Amazon will buy something else and make it super big, and you've lost your chance?
No, absolutely. I have 10,000 things that can go wrong from now until Vivino is successful, whatever that is. Is it that it starts making money? Is it that I make some money? Whatever. There are 10,000 things that can go wrong. And it's been like that. Maybe there were 100,000 things that could go wrong when we started it, and now we're down to 10,000. But it's still not something that my guy in my bank is really happy about, right? When I talk about my finances with him, he would like it to be much more secure. But that's what you go into.
And if he's in Danske Bank, he'll be fired.
Yeah, that's what I'm counting on.
So until you're sold or on the stock exchange, then you have to grow. So in relation to change, what do you have in the pipeline for Vivino to grow? Yeah,
so this whole marketplace model is still very, very new for us. We only launched it like 18, 20 months ago. And it's still way too small. We need that to grow by a large margin. The ambition is we want to be the world's largest wine marketplace in terms of revenue. We want to be the place where you go to buy wine. And we're not at all that today. If you go to the US and you take 100 Vivino users and you ask them to talk about Vivino, what they will say is, it's this wine app where I can take a photo of a wine. They don't say, this is the app where I can buy awesome wine. They're not talking about buying. They're still talking about that thing we built 5 years ago. And it takes a long time, again, like the Echo Guide said, it takes a long time to change a perception of what it is you are to a consumer. And that's really what we need to do to grow this. We need to reposition ourselves and make you aware that, hey, if you're going to buy wine online, you should really go to Vivino because it is the best place.
But what does that include more specifically? Is it new features? Is it more advertising? What are you planning on?
Yeah, so a lot of it is in marketing and product positioning, but a lot of it is on. I'm the chief product officer, so I think a lot about the product. And 2 days ago, we just launched a model very much like Amazon Prime, where you can pay us an annual fee and then you get free shipping on all the wine you buy through us. That's the latest example of something that we've built that will further increase these things. But there are tons of small and big things that we need to build to be... Online commerce is hard, and it's a lot about trust, and so it really has to be polished. And we're still very rough on the edges when it comes to e-commerce. So it's just a ton of things we have to do in the next 2 years.
I really like this question, partly because we're in the Carlsberg Auditorium, and also because I suspect that the Carlsberg chairman, who's also here, actually wrote this. Why did you choose wine and not beer?
Yep.
And have you ever considered, maybe expanding
yes.
to different segments?
Yes, but we're not going to do it. We always are, again, customers are stupid and they're asking us to expand into beer, and that would be dumb. No, so a couple of answers to that question. First of all, I had a personal pain about wine. I didn't have a personal pain about beer. I love beer. I still love it. But I had a personal pain about wine, so that got me engaged. Like, I felt stupid when I was in the shop, and I hate feeling stupid. So that's one thing. But then when we started thinking about it, the whole business model of what we wanted to build made a lot more sense for wine than for beer. Wine is massively complicated, and it's very, very fragmented. We have 8 million different wines in our database today. And the price points for wine goes from $5 to whatever you want, right? And yeah, you have, microbrewery, craft beer, and so on, and the price points are starting to move up. But still, if you go to the shop, if you go to Irma and you pay 50 kroner for a beer, you feel like you really paid a lot for that beer. If you want to make that work in an online model where we have to ship it to you as well and pay shipping costs and so on, the margin is just not there. So the whole business model just works for wine, it doesn't work for beer. And both the real and the perceived problem for the consumer also is not really there yet. I do totally appreciate that beer is much more complicated today than it was 10 years ago. I saw this chart of breweries in US, and actually today the US has more breweries than ever before. And there was like a sharp decline, and then prohibition, there was 0, and then like there were pretty much like whatever, very small amount, and then microbreweries started happening. And it is getting complicated, it is getting harder to navigate, but compared to wine, it's nothing.
So Biesenbacher will have to build his own app.
Yes.
Noted, okay. A more specific question is, what kind of tools do you have against review or feedback manipulation as it occurs on, for example, Amazon?
Yeah, that is a real. First of all, that is a real problem, and it does occur. We do these wine style awards every year, where we find the wines that have been rated the highest throughout the year, and we award the winery and we give them a plaque and whatever. And we do that. And 2 years ago, we gave one of these to a Sicilian winery, and I'm sure it's completely coincidental that it was Sicilian. But afterwards, we found out that there was a kind of curious pattern in their ratings. They had a lot of 5-star reviews from a lot of people who hadn't really rated any other wine, and they were all called something really generic. And also, all those same people had rated a competing winery on the other side of the island with 1-star reviews. So clearly, this is happening, and this is a problem. There are 2 things that you can do about it. First of all, you can grow big. The bigger you are, the harder you are to manipulate with. So the more effort it just takes. If a wine gets 1,000 reviews every day, then it takes a lot of you to do that. You just it's not impossible. You just raise the bar. You have to be, you have to have a lot more botnets and be a lot smarter about it and so on. And the second thing is, when you do that, then you also become a lot easier to detect. If you have a system where you have a wine that has 5 ratings, we're not really going to notice if you're going to go in and give it 2 positive ones. But if you need to do 1,000 a day, then it's much easier for us to build systems and technologies than kind of say, oh, that's weird that this group of users suddenly all new is rating all these wines very highly and so on. It's not impossible to cheat it. If you're smart and patient about it, there's no way for us to detect it. Like if you just go in and give your wines a 4-star review every 3 days with a new profile, like we probably wouldn't detect it. But for us, there's safety in numbers that we need. But that's one of the reasons why we need to grow even bigger than we are today. We need more data.
But as of today, I mean, how many resources do you use to make sure this doesn't happen?
Well, we have a dedicated data team that works on a lot of different areas. But they are a team of 7 engineers, 6 wine specialists in Copenhagen, and then 70 people in India. And they do different things. They don't only do this, but their job is to make sure that the database reflects reality. So they have tools to try to fight this.
So we spoke a bit about the future and maybe selling off a vino or maybe going on the stock exchange. But what about you, Theis? I mean, do you have, if that were to happen, do you have a new project?
No, I don't. No, I don't. To quote Margrethe Vestager, I don't believe in career planning, especially because I don't really have a career. But there was a mistake. There was a mistake I made in my previous company, which was this security company. It was a fine company. We grew it to 100 people. We made like 30 million euros in revenues. It became profitable. It also became very boring. So I quit it. And one of the issues I had in the last couple of years was I started to think a lot ahead, like a lot of like, oh, I don't really want to be here, so what should I do? And that becomes very, very rapidly like a self-enforcing thing. So I'm very aware to kind of stay in the moment. It's kind of a new age thing, but like really just keep. There are so many challenges I have with this, and ideas also. I mean, they are short-lived, and even if I had a great idea now, trying to execute it 2 years from now, it's probably a completely different world. So I don't really I don't have a notebook of ideas. I love these people who are like, oh, I'm full of ideas. I have all these ideas. Yeah, they're probably crap ideas. So just when you need to do something new, sit down, think about it, and pick the best one, and then do that. I don't really believe a lot in all that preparation. It's going to get stale anyway.
Okay, but then I think that leads to the next question, which is, if you've ever regretted studying journalism instead of business. I mean, when you're looking back at the way you started your career, I mean, would you have done anything different?
No, I did everything perfect. I don't know. I never ever considered studying business. I never considered it. And I'm very, very happy with the fact that I studied journalism. It has helped me a lot. I learned a lot of good things. And I do think it's one of the best educations that you can pick if you have an idea of being somewhat a generalist, which is what an entrepreneur also is. No, I have never regretted studying journalism.
There's always something that I end up thinking when I'm talking to entrepreneurs is you always seem so idea-driven. I mean, it's the project and it's having fun every day when you go to work that counts. But then sometimes you think, oh, that's easy to say when you're making lots of money. But I don't get a sense that you're making a lot of money, although you can take from the venture capitalists. I mean, so what is your driver? I mean, because you must enjoy, being able to go on holiday as well. And
yes.
What's the ratio between being rich and having fun?
Well, right now it's not at all about being rich. Well, again, a lesson from my previous company was that I lost the fun. So I've been very focused this time around to keep it. And there are two things that help me with that. One is that the idea keeps evolving. The company keeps evolving to something completely new. Like 2 years ago, I wasn't focused at all on all this marketplace thing. We were thinking about how do we do a fun and engaging product for consumers without necessarily making any money. And it constantly changes. These challenges constantly changing. And I really like that. That keeps me motivated. The other thing is just I take a lot of both pride and also happiness in building a workplace. I love the fact I love going to work in the morning. And one thing is what I'm doing on my laptop and my monitor, but I just love the fact that I go there and I know that I've created a very nice, appealing work environment for the other people. And there's tons of shit being said by entrepreneurs about Jesper Buch is one of the investors in Vivino, so I have to say nice things about him. But I really disagree with his whole attitude towards this. It's this, that you have to put in everything you have and you will sacrifice everything else. And I really don't believe in that. I'm creating a work environment where it reflects also my own situation. I have 2 small kids, and there needs to be room for that, and that helps you as a company to have a nice work environment, and that's one of the things that really drives me. I really like the idea of making a lot of money one day. I hope it happens because that's just going to open up a lot of opportunities for me. But it's not. It cannot be why you go to work every day because the chances are so small. Most of these, I might have a pretty good chance by now, but like I said, 10,000 things can go wrong. Or when you start a company, you have practically 0 chance. Like it can never and should never be the main motivator for why you do it.
Okay, we'll let you a little bit off the hook, not study Theis so much and dig back into Vivino. A question says, focusing on the theme new markets, where do you plan to expand your business?
Yeah. So I've been placed in this track with new markets, and obviously the example of Vivino is online versus an industry that's like 8,000 years old and has done things in very traditional ways always. We've been global from the very beginning. The day we launched the app, the US was our biggest market. So we've been kind of global in that sense ever since, and the US is still our main and our focus market. And then we're active with the business model as well in 8 European markets. The growth will mainly, the expansion of our business will mainly come within those markets still. If you look at our market share of online wine sales, it's laughable. Like, it's so small. It's teeny tiny. Even if you look at from the consumer perspective. So we have, let's see, how much do we have? We maybe have 7-8 million Americans that have installed our app. Like, that's not a big share of the population. It's not even a big share of the people drinking wine. We have so much growth still just within those key markets. So for us, expansion is not about, oh, let's take China, or let's what about South America and whatever. It's really about growing it. Even we could just focus on the US. That is where the massive growth of our revenues will come in the next years.
Yeah. But how do you grow? Because there's a question that says, no, that's not the one. No, yeah, this one. How did you go about marketing and getting 26 million users? Did they all come by themselves? I mean, what's your strategy? You say growing and expanding in some of the markets you're already in. Is
Yes.
marketing the way ahead?
Maybe, probably. I don't know anything about marketing. But our really big, and seriously, this was not something that we considered. It's a huge lucky strike for us. 96% of our users are coming organically. So we don't pay for them or anything like that. They come organically. And the way they come organically is that people drink wine together. So you have 5 people around a table, one of them have Vivino, and you take a photo, and then the rest of the group says, what the hell are you doing? We were having a nice conversation, asshole. No, it's this nice app, and you should try it, and blah, blah. So that's how we get 4 new users. And when we ask our users, I think it's 75 or 70-something% of our users who say that they've heard about Vivino from a friend. So that's our marketing. That's how we do it. And that's super lucky. Like, this will not apply to a lot of products. The downside of it is that we don't control really our story. All our new users are getting pitched by one of our existing users, which means that repositioning, like I said, like say, hey, I want our users to talk about how awesome it is to buy wine. Well, that's going to take me a while, because all my ambassadors out there using Vivino and pitching it to their friends, I would need to reach them and get them to tell a different story. So on one hand, it's super lucky for us that we have this. I mean, we would not have existed if wine was not a social, a physically social thing. The downside is that we have very little control of how we're being pitched.
But you could also grow. I mean, the next question is if you've ever considered expanding into other spirits. I mean, like wine or rum. I mean, the 7-8 million Americans who has downloaded Vivino, maybe they would also like to buy some rum. I mean, that could be a way to go about it.
It would, but it's like we're a football team playing in 4th division, and like the plan is so obvious for us to grow and grow in those divisions. And if you come to them and say, hey, why don't you start playing baseball? It's like, yeah, but why? We have so much potential in what we're doing. This is a completely open playing field for us, and we're still so small in what we're doing. So it seems like easy money. It seems like, oh, why don't you just do beer? Yeah, it took me 7 years to build a nice database of wine. So what are you actually suggesting, right? The impact of that is too small compared to the fact that I have only 2% of my active user base that has ever given me money. So if 98% of people using Vivino out there has never given me any money, isn't that a potential? They're all drinking wine. When we survey them, they all drink wine. They buy wine online much more than average consumers. That's the potential. That's what we need to focus on. That's what we need to fix.
But there's a lot of good ideas in here to where you could make money. This one, for example, talking about business plans. In the longer term, what are your plans in regards to online retailing? Keep the current strategy, or maybe I like this one, own stock of wine. That sounds like a great idea.
Well, yes, and you know, Amazon has been very successful in building like a hybrid model where they're a marketplace, but they also take their main product categories and they control them completely themselves. And these hybrid models, I think they are very interesting, and we actually do it to some extent today. We have a part of our business model is that we do these deals. Where we pick a wine and we negotiate a great price, and then we present it to our users and say, hey, this will match your taste and you should really try it out. So we push some sales. And for those, we sell in volumes where it makes sense for us to import the wine ourselves, to control the shipping of it ourselves. And obviously the margin for us is higher. But it needs to be a hybrid model because we do believe that the huge potential here is the marketplace. But sure, I mean, even if we have the marketplace and there's a wine that we sell 1,000 bottles of every day, and we know that tomorrow we're going to sell another 1,000 bottles, why wouldn't we import that wine and just take a higher margin? So there are these potentials, but you have to balance them.
And you also have a lot of different players that you have to consider in your business. I mean, you touched a bit about the French winemakers in your presentation.
Yes.
Do you face backlash by wine experts, and maybe perhaps also the French guys, for trying to simplify the process of choosing wine that's often considered sophisticated? I mean, and how to deal with that?
Yes. Yes, we do, and we ignore it. That's because I mean one of the whole justifications for Vivino is that we're not in opposition to experts, but we're a better system. We're a scalable system for rating wine. First of all, the Vivino rating completely correlates with the experts. We've taken 10,000 wines in the Vivino database, and we've compared our average rating with that of experts. And there's like a 99. I don't know if you're mathematicians, but like the correlation is like super tight. If we have more than 30 people rating the wine, that's when the math starts working out. I have no idea why, but I'm happy it is that way because our system is scalable. We get 50,000 ratings every day from our users. A wine expert, like if you're the biggest wine expert in the world, Robert Parker, and you actually don't rate all the wines yourself, you've trained like minions that will go out and have your same taste, and they will taste and oh, Robert Parker thinks this. He rates 30,000 wines per year. That's the max scale, and that's a lot, right? That's a lot. But that's the max scale that you can take that to. We are the only, and what sucks about wine is not only is there a lot of wine out there, you also get like 300,000 new wines every year. Most of them are new vintages of existing, but like 300,000 new products every year that you also have to keep rating. And then the real killer is, this is not movies that once you made the movie, it stays the same, except if it's Star Wars. Wine changes, right? Wine changes over the years. So you have to keep rating the same product over and over again to have the quality. And we've built a system that scales. So yes, we're in that sense in opposition to experts, and they should just shut up and cope with it.
And I guess they also see the point in being a part of Vivino.
So they like the idea that this is a platform. This is, to them, this is a media platform, right? This is a place where they can go out, and you have plenty of consumers that really like experts and like say, yeah, I like the Vivino rating, but I also want to know what Robert Parker says. We're fine with that. We'll show you his rating, and they see it as a media platform. So that's fine. We just think our basic system is gonna be the one that wins out in the end.
We're sort of running out of time by now, but so I think we should circle back perhaps to where we began, because as this says, you make entrepreneurship sound really tough, but would you recommend it, for example, to some of the people in here today?
No.
No?
No, I would not. Seriously, I would not. We have this political agenda of like, oh, we have too few entrepreneurs, we should make it more attractive and easier and so on. It sucks, and you shouldn't do it. And it's only if you listen to a guy like me that tells you you should not do it, and you still go out and do it, then maybe you have a chance. Like, entrepreneurship should be born in resistance. Like, it should be born out of like, fuck what that guy says, I'm gonna do it anyway. It should not be born out of being nursed and like, oh, let me help you, and then we help you for 5 years and then you fail miserably because you were not good enough. It's hard. There's a reason why all these startups fail. It's because it's very hard. And so no, you should not do it. It's a super bad idea. You will fail. And one of you will succeed.
And the rest can go work in Danske Bank.
Yeah, and then...
So, to maybe conclude, I mean, you began this because you like wine, but you didn't know anything about it. Do you know anything about wine now?
No. I do, and the problem with wine is you start spending a lot of money on it. Once you start knowing a bit about it, it's like, oh, I'd like to try that. And so it's a dangerous path to go down.
So what's your favorite wine?
I don't have a favorite wine. And I like it when they take the red one and the white one and they mix it and it becomes pink. And then I like that one.
Okay, I think that pretty much concludes our session. Thank you, Theis.